All right, we're back at Cornubia Sports Complex. Once again, apologies, everyone, for the major technical difficulties we're having. We think we have it sorted now. It's 30-8, Logan over Ipswich with 2:43 to go in the first quarter. Logan absolutely dominant so far to start this game, guys. They're doing a bit of everything, dominating the glass, beating Ipswich up and down the court in transition, and really making them pay every time they get an offensive look.
Yeah, the size is really hurting them. I mean, you've got Young or Carla on the glass, hard, offensive rebounds, making it really difficult for them. So even if they miss the threes, they're cleaning up the scraps, but they're shooting the ball well too, Dan. So everything Logan right now.
Well, we were talking about it while we were figuring out our cameras. Man, they almost got a great play, but Carla can finish. The fact that Ipswich are going to have a hard time rebounding against this big Logan team, but if they also do a bad job looking after the ball and turn it over like they have been to start the game, it's going to be a long day for them. And they've got out of the man pretty quick. For anyone watching, they're back in a zone. They've tried a 2-3. They're now in a 1-3-1. They're just trying to junk up and find something to stop Logan from scoring.
Yeah, I mean, they've given up 5 offensive rebounds already in the first 8 minutes. That's just not going to be a good sign. And equally, though, they haven't put anyone on the backside. I mean, if Young and Carla are going to come in the rim, or near the rim, they need to have a bit better intent defensively.
Well, Young's got 11 points, so it's 5 buckets plus a couple of foul shots. And I reckon of those 4 buckets, every single one of them has been almost uncontested.
Yeah.
People are almost intimidated by him out there.
We keep getting camera issues, guys. I'm sorry about that. We're doing our best to sort it out. It is 34-13 now. Ipswich down by 21 with 1:30 to go. Good look inside. Collar, though, can't finish. Tembior banks one home. Cuts the lead to 19, 34-15.
Yeah, I really like what Atem did a good job last week against the Pirates, and again, giving them good minutes early. Offensively crashing the glass, being a good threat.
Comes up with the steal here, does Bjorn. Goes at the defense. Amar fouls him. Bjorn nearly flipped it in.
Well, after a horrendous start, Ipswich are fighting their way back into the ball game. I think the other thing, too, that they need to do is, they're not going to win the game in the next 10 minutes. So they need to be real about this and really be pragmatic around what's achievable defensively.
Well, we did see the Spartan men last night at the Phoenix down 40-13 at quarter time. 40-13, fellas, at quarter time, and they came back and got a win on the road. So I think you're right, Dave. Ipswich, I think it was 30-6 5 minutes or a few minutes ago. It's now 34-17, so they've gradually got it back. Just weather the storm and just grind it out.
This has been Ipswich's issue, though, all season. They start really slowly. We saw them do this last week against Southwest. They started poorly. They won every other quarter except the first, but they weren't able to get over the hump.
Yeah. Well, equally, we've caught a couple of Logan games too, and Logan have been, they certainly started really shaky. Offensively and defensively, they've really put some nice strings together in the last month or so specifically, and playing some good ball. But I guess my point is they're hardly, invincible, and so if they can keep chipping away, the force can certainly make some noise and do some damage. Wilson with a nice bucket.
And nice contact there. Good hit for Wilson to beat the buzzer. 34-19 going into the quarter time break, guys. We're really sorry about these technical issues we're having. We're trying to work them out. Nonetheless, where it's the quarter time, it's 34-19. Logan leads Ipswich heading into the second quarter. We'll come back and hopefully we'll have a camera signal for you guys shortly. All right, we're back with you here at Cornubia Sports Complex. Massive, massive apologies for this. We had some major technical issues. I have to thank James Bowman down in Sydney logging in remotely and giving us a hand. I also have to thank Regan Baker and Chris Sieber for working out the issues that we had. Hopefully it's sorted for the second half. We really do apologize that we were unable to get you the first half. My trusty colleagues Dave Derwin and Dan George were watching and calling the games to themselves. It's a 15-point deficit for Ipswich at the half, guys. They got off to that really super slow start, but they did fight back and got it down to 15.
Yeah, Dan and I are going to have to warm up again, I think.
Sorry, guys.
To get back in the game. But, no, Johnny, they were, Ipswich were really bad. And it's probably, from Mick's point of view, it's probably a good thing that he couldn't see the tape for the first sort of 6 or 7 minutes.
First half.
Well, that's true. In saying that, they fought back hard and they got a 24-all second quarter by my count. So they've done a good job to fight back, that's for sure. Now the next 3 to 4 minutes is critical for me. It's either they either make a game of it or it's over in the next 3 or 4 minutes. And again, they've proved they can because they did a good job last week against the Pirates. So hopefully they got a bit of belief out of that second quarter, and away we go. It's for Logan, that after a super start, they kind of looked a bit like, this is in the bag. So hopefully they continue to work on their habits, which is, they need to keep climbing the ladder. Currently in 7th, so they got some stuff to do as well and work on. And I'd like to see them come out and really try and put Ipswich to the sword in those first 3 or 4 minutes.
Well, Ipswich comes out in that zone again. Johns tries to dish it inside. Collar recovers. Layup is missed, though. So decent start. And here comes Ipswich the other way. Harvey, a lot of contact. They're going to get Johns for the personal foul. Did a good job holding ground, but it came down with the arms a bit there.
Yeah. And you've either got to do one or the other. Either commit to putting your hands up and looking to draw the charge, or have a good hack and make him go to the foul line.
So Harvey will go to the free throw line, looking for the first points of the second half. Hits the first one.
He had good defensive position. He should have just taken the charge. He did the hard work. He got in there.
I might have picked that up on GBL on a Wednesday night. Just leave that one out there, hey?
Sure.
I know Thunder likes the physicality of the GBL on a Wednesday.
I sure do, but I don't know that GBL likes the physicality of the GBL.
Here comes Carroll looking inside for Collar. Hook shot is up. It's too strong. Ralph with the defensive rebound.
Well, I don't know why he was fading either. Again, he can go finish with the left or right. He needs to try and create more contact, try power straight through them on a big power step lab. Look to draw fouls as well.
13 points the lead here. Guys, because of all of our technical difficulties, we didn't really get much of a chance to chat about it. But Logan has really come on here to get themselves back into the final spot. They started off the season really, really slowly. Now that they have their full squad back, everyone's playing, everyone's healthy, they're playing some good ball. Carroll with the left hand, it's off, but they're going to get Dirksen for the personal. That's just a crafty veteran play there by Carroll. He got the big fella off his feet.
Well, it certainly was, but equally just lazy D from Dirksen. You're either going to come and contest a shot and do so and not give up a foul. There was nowhere really to go. He was having a 1-foot runner from just inside the free throw, really. Just contest, rebound. They can't give up cheap ones, especially late clock. Send Logan to the foul line.
Carroll missed that first one.
And I'm kind of not really loving what I'm seeing from Logan early in this third quarter. They weren't super good finishing that half.
Here comes a bit of pressure. Ralph breaks it. Used this to Dirksen in the corner, who stepped out of bounds on the sideline. Dirksen is the top three-point shooter by percentage points in the QBL in 2017.
Well, I was having a quick chat to him pre-game, and I said, that just means you're not shooting it enough. I reckon if you're shooting it that well, you got to get some more looks, but nice finish from Mitch Young.
Yeah, it's a great finish there by Young, finishing through the double team. Dan, I heard you talking about it. with that Rucker post during the week on social media. Good block there by Young. Those shots that Logan are taking, they're near the paint, aren't they? As Collar fouled from behind. Ralph didn't like the call, but
No,
again,
didn't like it at all. But
Logan focusing on those interior touches and finishes.
well, we talk about it all the time. What are teams running? And I think when you get into the playoffs, the teams that usually compete for championships are the ones that know who they want to get shots and where they're going to get shots from. It's the teams that play without structure that struggle. And I mean, Rucker's post was basically a shot chart of the Logan team, and it just showed that they're getting the shots that he wants them to get, which is a good sign for them. And obviously, as you would expect, there's a focus on Mitch Young and Gano post inside, and then Cedar and these boys on the perimeter, Tommy Amara and the like, getting their looks too. So they're playing the style of ball that he wants to play. I think the challenge for them is to do that consistently. They often do it for 3 quarters that we see, but to compare with the top teams in the league, they've got to do that for 4 quarters to have a chance of winning.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too, Johnny. I mean, let's have an apples and apples conversation. I mean, this is a pretty good Logan squad. I think they're getting into some groove at 8-6 on the season, but they have a really nice front line of Post, Young, and then Carla as a pretty nice 3-headed monster. So it gives them a good presence offensively and defensively, and then they've got their shooters and playmakers playing out of that as well. So they have a good balance where they should be getting those good touches and some really nice points in the paint that isn't too hard to work on because you get good targets.
Good pass inside. Wilson's shot just a bit too strong. Would be remiss to not give a shout out to our friend James Legan, who suffered that horrific broken leg last week versus Southwest. We know he's out of the hospital. We know he's recovering. So James, we wish you all the best in your recovery. We miss you out here. We were hoping to catch up with James, but he couldn't make it to the game tonight. But wish you all the best in your recovery, James, and hope to see you back in the QBL 100% as soon as you possibly can.
I was talking to Mick Conlon before the game, and he was told, because it was such a clean break, that basically he could be playing by Christmas.
Wow, wow, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I hope that's the case for James. You know, he's going to attack his rehab with great intensity. So let's hope that's the case for James. And hopefully we see him back in the QBL as Ralph puts up another 3. That's good. Jason Ralph has the jump shot going here in the second half. Cuts the lead to 11.
Well, the other thing that they did a good job in the second quarter, Ipswich, was that effort. And a lot of offensive rebounding really helped them as well. Crashed the boards. They finished +1, I think, for the first half in the end, where they were heavily out-rebounded.
Dirksen steps into a 3. That would have been big. He missed, though. Cedar comes down with it. Pass inside is out of bounds off of Dirksen. Guys, I think we see Logan kind of getting back into some of those bad habits, though. A lot of their 3-pointers in that first half were off of inside touches. Now it's one pass and shot. Letting Ipswich back in this one.
Yeah, they certainly are at this stage. They're not playing with the same energy and focus they had in the first half, but good action there from Johns to Tommy Amar. Just simple cuts. Effort basketball gets rewarded.
Yeah, good job there by Johns. He's really picked up his level of play also in the last about 4 to 6 weeks, I'd say. He's really taken it to that level where you see why Adelaide has him as a development player.
Yeah, I think he's absolute. I mean, we pull no punches there at NBN. He was poor the first couple times we saw them this year. But yeah, he absolutely has got into his role now, given Logan good minutes. And again, I think Logan's got that nice balanced roster where he adds a good level of physicality to their group.
Amar went 1 of 2 as Ralph gets inside, lays it in with the left hand. Looks like the Jason Ralph of old tonight.
Well, Ipswich is up +4 so far, and again, looking to slowly but surely work themselves back into the game.
Great job there by Johns, passing up the 3-pointer for the easy look inside to Young.
And that's what they need to do more of. I mean, great seal, early work from Young, and got rewarded with a nice entry pass.
Zone again here from Logan. Ralph leaves his feet. Dirksen has it in the corner with 6 on the shot clock. Squares up on Young. Step back jumper's up. It's short.
I think they can get a better offensive set than that. again, the last couple times down, Ralph had some good driving. The last time then you had 4 guys just throw the ball at Dirksen and then 4 dudes in white just watching.
And Young likes that matchup inside with Dirksen.
Well, I think as well, fellas, you guys have been doing a great job. I've been letting you just make your observations, but like that last pass, like that's a shot that Josh Dirksen can probably make. But you just want to put some more pressure on the defense and even put some pressure on the officials to make a call. When you're shooting a fadeaway, when you're never going to get a foul call, and I would love 6 seconds on the clock, use your athleticism, get to the rim, put some pressure on the Logan defense, because I think the challenge that Ipswich have had in the first half, as well as the turnovers, have hurt them. But rush shots like that, where you're fading away, leads to a Logan defensive rebound that feeds their transition, and that's been a real strength of Logan's this afternoon. So you just want to stay aggressive and get good, clean, open jump shots, or get some action going to the rim like Harvey's trying to achieve here.
Dior on the court with 2 on the shot clock. Gets past post. Can't finish, though. Goes out of bounds, though, off of Keanu post.
Yeah, another good drive from Atem. I like the patience. You know, there's just no ball. There's just no player movement at the moment. The weak side, in particular, are just staying, and I guess they're spacing, which is nice, but just a simple little weak side exchange, and again, no diving when Atem had the ball.
Ralph just missed a layup there. Nice pass from Poulain, who just checked in for Ipswich. Post dumping it off for Young. He's good. One thing I've got to give Logan credit for, guys, is that big-to-big pass. We've seen it from Young to Collar to Young, now just post to Young. The big guys are passing the ball beautifully.
And it helps when all 3 of them are able to do that, Johnny. So that's a great skill. And Harvey loads up. We obviously were off air a little bit in the first half, and Dan and I were saying, you know, they're going to need sort of 35 from Harvey, we think. And he was on that way because he's got 21 already.
And that was his halftime stat
Yeah.
too. He hasn't scored. That might be his first, maybe
shot.
second shot
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
quarter. And I think that comes back to the point earlier, fellas. If you're Ipswich, like Logan's not here, that's a massive out. So what are you going to run? Who's going to get you buckets, and how are you going to get points to compete with these teams? And obviously Harvey's going to carry massive loads. Let's run some shots or run some sets to get him some good looks. And they're not doing that this quarter.
3:20 to go in the third quarter. 69-53 the lead. Amar is going to fire a wing 3 for Logan. That's off the front of the rim. Ben Wilson gets to the bucket. Layup is no good, but he's fouled on his way up. They're going to give that one to Mitch Young. That's going to be Young's 3rd personal. Timeout taken by Coach Conlon. Guys, let's keep it here. What do you like so far from Ipswich here in the third quarter, Dan?
Well, they're competing really hard, and I mean, I think it was 20-6 or thereabouts, and they easily could have just let it slide. But I mean, they've got this back. It was a 11-point game earlier, and it's just eked out a little bit here. But when they're competing hard, you can't fault them in terms of the effort levels that they're playing with. But I do think that they need to come back and get into some more structures and figure out how they're going to get some good looks here. But from Logan's point of view, give them credit too. Defensively, they've been much better this quarter.
Dave, I see you looking at the stats. What's jumping out at you?
Well, just the other one, to flow on from Dan, I mean, defensively, Ipswich is in their zone, which is fine, but there are gaps galore in their zone. And where they're getting burned is, you know, Post is getting a post-up action, and they're just Young or Carla's walking into the paint and getting a little simple dump off, just like you talked about in the big-to-big. Ipswich isn't denying, no one's going with it, no one going with Mitch Young to push him out. There's no real physicality. They got to take that away and then make Logan a jump shooting team and say, all right, Salicic, Cedar, Tommy Amar, knock yourselves out. You can hit some threes on us for a change because you're not going to destroy us in the paint like you have been in the first half. Defensively, that's what Ipswich has to do, and I don't mind the zone as long as they match up out of it and then be a bit more physically imposing, which they're not at the moment.
I think one of the challenges with their zone or with their defense in general has been at the start of the game they were in man, and Logan would have had 5 dunks in the first 3 minutes. Mitch Young had a couple, he dropped off, Post had a couple, and so I think they said, man, we can't guard these guys one-on-one in a man defense. Let's go to zone, and I think they're just probably nervous to go back to their man coverage, but I think you just have to expect sometimes teams come out hot, especially at home, so
yeah.
I mean, I think, like you said, Dave, maybe get out of the zone. You got to give Logan and give every team you play against a different look. If you sit in the same defense, whether it's man or zone, the whole game, people will figure it out. So if they've been in zone for a while, go back to man, see what happens. And if they go to work again, we'll get out of it, but at least give them a different look.
It hits, but this is a 1-3-3 zone. Weak side post finishes plus the foul. Again, that's Young up high to post down low.
And that's what Dave's talking about. They go like one pass on a half reversal and the zone shifts and it's wide open gaps. If you're going man, I think you have a better chance of denying that sort of action.
Yeah.
But that's what you got to give Logan credit for that too, because they're being patient. They're getting that ball reversal and then attacking those gaps. So
yeah,
well, that's what we've been saying too. Logan know what they want to get out of it. Okay, Ipswich want to play a zone. We're going to get these looks, and they're doing it and they're executing. And give Coach Rucker credit, and give the guys on the floor credit too, obviously. But I mean, Ipswich want to try and dictate to Logan. Well, you're not going to get Mitch Young and counter post, who are obviously your focus points. You're not going to get them open looks because we're going to take it away, and the zone is difficult to take away the post play.
Yeah.
And I like Logan coming out with a bit of a press there, forcing Ipswich into a half-court game. Ralph inside to a wide-open Wilson. Nice job there by Ralph finding Wilson.
Yeah, again, good patience from Ipswich then. I just like I like it when Ralph's their decision maker, and I think good things happen when he's leading their penetration. So they can swing the ball and so forth, but I think good thing happened when it comes back into his hand, later in the clock. Then you get guys to do their thing. I mean, Atem fills spots. Wilson cuts well.
Again, Atem Bior with the moving pick.
I agree with what you're saying, Dave. The thing that I would like to see Ralph do a bit more is to say, as the point guard who's obviously leading the charge on the floor, like, I need to get Harvey going again.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless he does, we're done.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, fellas, let's run this to get Harvey a shot. I don't think they run it with that sort of purpose.
Yeah.
So you're right. Ralph does make better decisions, but he needs a bit more purpose in terms of who's making the decisions for. And to me, looking who they got at the moment, Ralph's going to score for them, and Harvey's going to score for them. Those are the two focus points.
Bior going to the basket, fouled by Bijan Johnson, who just checked into the game. Turned it over and picks up the foul. Coach Rucker ain't going to be happy about that one.
Well, being a point guard, he might get a quick hook.
Well, he is getting a quick hook. And that's Coach Rucker saying, we have no room for that sort of play.
Brad Saul checking in for Bijan Johnson.
I think Coach Rucker and Bijan is having a conversation around minutes.
I think they're just trying to get on the same page like every player and coach is.
Bior hits them both. Lead is down to 16 now. We're at about 1:45 to go here.
Well, the young fella isn't doing himself any favors when he checks in as the point guard, turns it over within about 5 seconds of action.
John's alley-oop to Post, who tips it in. Post can get up there, but that one was just a little too high for the hammer.
Yeah, he's a big rig, all right, and he's already got a few nice dunks today.
Ralph coming off the screen, no look to Dirkskin, who tried to hand it off for Poulain. Ralph recovers with 5 seconds to go on the shot clock. Loses the ball. Selicic comes up with it. No foul call there. They thought that Harvey was going to get called for the foul. Bior leading the break. Then John's going to get called for the block.
Yeah, probably a little unlucky down this end not to get the call.
Josh Dirksen might not be in the greatest shape that he's ever been in. If he was, he's going upstairs and finishing that. And I've seen him catch it and that sort of pass and finish on the rim, but I think Counter Post got no stats for that possession, but I just think Josh Dirksen saw Post in there and went, well, I'm passing this, and it almost led to a turnover. And that's the sort of influence that Counter Post can have on the game. The box score doesn't show at all.
Yeah.
He's a big presence down there.
And that's the thing too, defensively with Logan, you get good presence from either Post or Carla, who are both legitimate shot blockers and shot changers. And that's certainly helped as they've got more comfortable in the Thunder system.
Yeah, Collar's come in and he's made a real difference, getting big minutes. It makes that big rotation a little more succinct, gives guys a bit of a breather when they need it, because you don't lose much when you bring Collar in off the bench.
Well, it also helps your guards too, because they can go out and pressure the ball a bit more, get in the lanes a bit harder, knowing that they got protection behind them. when there's no shot blockers back there, they don't want to get beat and see the guy lay it up.
Saul in a bit of trouble. Post passes a bullet off the backboard. Harvey recovers. Harvey looking inside. Good catch by Poulain. He can't finish. Gets his own rebound and puts it in.
Good job from Poulain. Working hard under the rim.
That's what you want to see out of you guys off the bench. The energy and the effort. And then Ralph tips it.
Good deflection from Ipswich again. They're still fighting, which is good to see.
They're down 14, 28 seconds to go into the third quarter. Johns baseline puts up the floater, goes off the side of the backboard. They're going to get Ralph with the foul, though. That's going to send Johns to the line for a couple free throw attempts.
Well, they're a +1 this quarter, so Ipswich is done. They chipped away a little bit, probably not as much as they needed to. I mean, 14 points is a bit of an effort to come back from the fourth, but with guys like Harvey and Dirksen with the 3-ball, they're certainly capable. You know, we said it last week again, the production from Eustace. I mean, he's got to be more involved, more active. I don't know what his stats are. It's because we're having our other stat was playing up a little bit, but
we're having major.
We had a tough afternoon in the office, but yeah, I mean, Eustace 5 points, 2 of 7, 3 assists. So, you know, they need more from him, especially in a game like today when you've got no Logan.
Dirksen's 0 for 8, hasn't given you anything really.
Yeah.
It's interesting, we haven't seen Mick Cedar much, and he's standing behind the Logan bench with a calf warmer on or something, so hopefully he's healthy. It doesn't look like we're going to see him this afternoon, though. So if someone like him off the floor, it's obviously a chance for Ipswich to come out and try and make some sort of run, but again, I just think they need to have a bit more purpose of what they're doing, and there's only so much they can do from a coaching point of view. They need some guys just to step up, and I reckon you bring in a Josh Dirksen to your program, you want him to be a factor, and he needs to find a way to assert himself and have an influence on the game.
Can I just give Brad Saul a shout out too? By the way, that is one sweet beard. I'm feeling that beard, Brad Saul. I got to grow mine out that way. Ralph working on Saul. Saul's going to get called for the blocking foul. They're in the penalty, so Ralph's going to go to line for a couple shots.
Do you think if his beard touches the opposing player's face or body that is partly the foul call?
No, no way.
No?
No.
That was pretty good D, but...
It was pretty good D. I think you can't be too upset if you Coach Ruck. I think it was a bit dirty because it's in the bonus, but I like the energy and the effort.
Well, and on cue, Mick Cedar is checking back into the ball game. So he's obviously healthy, which is good news for our league and Logan fans.
And Kane Bishop going to get set to check in also for Ipswich here. Tembior going to get a breather. Cedar's going to check in
again, for... Bior, I think, has done a great job today. 11 points off the bench in limited minutes. Crashing the glass, sorry.
No, sorry, I cut you off.
Got to get the shot off. Amar gets one up. It's too strong. And that's the end of the third quarter. Logan's going to head into the final break. Up 13, 78-65, guys. Good fight from Ipswich. They're not giving up this game, so it should be a great fourth quarter. They're doing some nice things. They just got to do it for a nice, good, solid 10 minutes straight, don't they?
They do, and equally, Coach Ruck has been playing a lot of guys, you know, sharing the minutes. A bit of a luxury when you're up by as many as you have been most of the game. As a fan, I'd like to see a couple of the Ipswich boys get hot and make this thing a contest.
Well, they certainly can do that. They certainly can, can't they, Dan?
Well, it's got to be Kyle Harvey, really. I think he had 21 at the half. Not sure he scored that quarter at all. Pretty sure he did not. So I think they need to get him going again. And if he goes for a 15-point quarter, which he easily could, this is going to be a ball game.
And I think Dirksen's been quiet all night, too. He's the kind of guy, he sees one shot go down. It could very well wind up being 6, 7, or 8. So,
yeah, well, Kyle Harvey had one shot that quarter.
Yeah, which is obviously not even close to being enough.
All right, well, let's take a quick break. We'll come back with the final quarter of action with Logan up 13, 78-65 on your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. All right, we're back here at the Cornubia Sports Complex. Logan up 13, 78-65. Dave, you're looking at the stats. What are they telling you?
Well, from Logan, they're getting good contributions across the board. You've got Young with 23 points, 6 boards. Sam Johns, 12, 6 assists, which he has done a good job of finding his big guys. And Keanu Post and Tommy Amar, 15 and 10 respectively. So good contributions across the floor from the Thunder. Shooting the ball well at 55% and winning the rebound count by a couple, which is good. Interesting too, 24 assists on 29 buckets is pretty efficient clip from the Thunder. For the Force, you know, they're still recovering from a horrible start, 35% from the floor. And quite simply, they just need some guys to get some points in a hurry if they're going to make this thing competitive.
Bishop steps into a three that's off. Nice offensive rebound there by Tembior.
And just on those stats too, Dave, one of the reasons they've got Logan that is so many assists is the points in the paint. 38-16 is their advantage, which is obviously a massive upside to the Thunder, and that's because they're just diming up their big guys.
Yeah.
And Ipswich have to find a way to change that margin this quarter. That's got to be better defense, but they have to get some points in the paint themselves. And there's no post player out there, but they need to get some layups or some drives or some offensive rebounds, but they need to get some easier buckets for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a look at the tape too, I think for me, Logan's getting penetration out of their zone at the top whenever they feel like it, and that's just killing the integrity of their zone. So the Force will have no chance of making this a ball game if they don't clean that up. And it just comes down to communication, as Eustace does a good job getting a deflection.
Good steal there, though, by Salicic, getting the ball back to the Logan Thunder. Salicic stepped out of bounds. Ipswich has cut it to 11, 8:48 to go in the game. Couple silly turnovers from Logan. If Ipswich can get on the board here, they'll cut it to single digits.
There we go. Oh.
Looked good from Dirksen. It's off, though. Cedar comes down with it for Logan.
Well, if I'm 0 for 9 from the field like Josh now is, the jump shot might not be the answer. He's got to get some action to the rim too. Get himself to the foul line, get a couple of layups, get himself going that way.
Well, what they need is the fourth quarter that Eustace had last week after that's a foul.
There's a call.
We were sort of chipping him with his performance last 3 quarters against the Pirates, and then the fourth quarter, I think he had 12 or 14 points, if I'm correct.
He certainly did heat up in that fourth quarter.
And it was a big reason why they were competitive right until the end against the Pirates last weekend.
Harvey's starting to get a little more aggressive here to start the fourth quarter. The free throw is good, so cuts it to 10.
Well, again, one shot so far in the second half just is not enough. That's his second shot, obviously. Especially now that their leading scorer is not in the game.
9-point game now with those 2 free throws from Kyle Harvey.
I just think there are a couple of defensive stops and a couple of shots away from really getting a bit more energy.
Amar dumps it off for Young to finish.
I just don't know they're going to get enough stops in the defense they're in. I'd just love to see him get out of the zone, even just for a minute, just to see what happens. Because if you do bring this margin back, and with Logan, as we've seen, they've had some really good wins in a great month or so, but if this gets back to a 3 or 4 point game at home, having been up by so much, you never know how those Logan boys are going to respond. It's easy for them to get a bit nervous.
Dirksen steps back, hits his first 3 of the night. It's back down to 8.
Well, the Ipswich fans would love that, and a few more going the other way.
Got to get the stops, though. Young has it. He's in a bit of trouble. Nearly threw it away. There's 10 on the shot clock. Amar has it on the baseline, and they're going to get Young for 3 seconds.
There you go. Good defensive possession from the Force.
Ralph checks in. Coach Rucker's going to take a timeout. We'll take one as well. 7:15 to go in the game. It's an 8-point lead for Logan over Ipswich. Your QBL Game of the Week presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. Back with you live at the Cornubia Sports Complex. Ipswich doing a good job, guys, getting it back to 8. The deficit is 80-72 for Ipswich, 7:16 to go. Pretty good timeout by Coach Rucker, but Ipswich fans can feel a comeback.
They can, and as you say, bang on timeout from Coach Rucker. Just getting a little nervous there. Ipswich is certainly, it's been a tight game.
Dirksen hit that one. He couldn't hit the second.
But Ipswich has sort of been fighting their way back, possession by possession. And Logan lost their way a little bit offensively.
I'm not sure if that was a set play to the timeout either to get Josh another look. If it was, I mean, give Coach Collins some credit, trying to get one of his main guys going, and Josh very unhappy that he missed it, so he obviously expected to get a shot. But I mean, this Ipswich coaching staff, just keeping your team mentally in the game when you're getting crushed early, give them credit. And 8 points, they could cut it here. Logan could get tight here if this gets any lower in terms of the margin.
Harvey's going to take a 3. That's too short.
Can Logan execute? Because we've seen in the past where they have their moments where they don't. But
John's open for 3. He's got the 3-point shot. Working tonight, boys.
Yeah, it looked really sweet out of the hand.
This has been easily the best game we've seen from him, I think, on our broadcast. He struggled really badly early in the season, but he's hit a couple of shots, which is obviously great. But more than that, I don't know what Ralph's doing there. But Johns has passed the ball really well also.
Doing a good job defensively there also. Got the poke on Ralph, knocked the ball loose, and then earns the tie-up and another possession for his team. But guys, the 2 3-point shots for Ipswich coming out of that timeout, kind of going away from what was working. They were getting dribble penetration, getting to the rim.
Yeah, they both weren't great shots.
Well, those 3-point shots that they take have to come off dribble penetration or like pass penetration and then getting a kick out. I don't think they can just go 1 or 2 passes on the perimeter and shoot a 3. I think it plays into Logan's hands far too much.
Foul inside on Cedar. Not sure they're going to give that one to.
I think it's on Ralph again. His 3rd.
We've got 2 number 3s on the board. Ralph's number 4, so I'm assuming he's the second guy. He does have 3, 1 team foul apiece for Ipswich and Logan. Eustace gets his hands on it. Goes out of bounds though, so it'll stay with Logan. 7 seconds to go on the shot clock. Amar from the corner, 3-pointer is good.
How good's Tommy Marbin today?
Yeah.
But how do you leave him open?
Well,
and that's where the zone hurts you too.
Well, just again, you can't have those defensive lapses. I mean, how do you lose Amar in the corner? You know he loves the corners.
That's an example also of they got, and it wasn't deep penetration, but a couple of dribbles, suck in a couple of defenders, kicking out wide open 3. On the other end, Ipswich go 2 passes, Ralph shoots a 3 with no offensive rebounders in the paint at all.
Amar again for 3. It's good. They're not going to count the bucket. They're going to get Ben Wilson for a foul somewhere along the line. Trying to fight through the screen, I think, of Keanu Post. Wilson going to get called for the personal. Cedars pass recovered by Post. There's 2 on the shot clock. Johns has to flip up a wild one. It's short. Now Ipswich looking to run. Harvey's got it. Wilson to Dirksen, who's open in the corner. 3-pointer is off. Young fighting for the rebound. It goes out of bounds off of Logan. Mitch Young can't believe there was no foul call.
Yeah, good job from Harvey hitting the glass. Getting his team another possession. Good look from Dirksen.
4:43 to go. 14 points to the lead for Logan over Ipswich. Cedar comes up with the steal, throws it ahead to Johns, who lays it up and in. And Coach Conlon gonna take the timeout. Logan has responded coming out of the timeout from Coach Rucker. Coach Conlon hoping for the same from his troops. We'll take a timeout as well. 4:37 to go. 88-72 the lead for Logan over Ipswich in your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. 88-72 the lead for Logan over Ipswich with 4:37 to go in the game, fellas. Good time out there by Coach Conlon, but the clock is definitely not in Ipswich's favor.
Yeah, and again, if the boys go back and watch the tape, so they got it back to
Remember, they
8.
only get half from us, though,
I
and
know,
apologies
but,
for that.
But the last 5 possessions, I feel, were all three-pointers. I don't feel any of them were great three-pointers in rhythm off good penetration or a nice kick or a reversal or of a nice catch. So they're all sort of forced. And, you know, it's great if it goes down, but...
Well, the one exception was Dirkson's corner 3, which was off a skip pass that at least allowed Harvey to get into the paint and contest for the O-board.
Yeah, great.
Other than that, everything was just a 1-2 passes, shot, no one on the glass, which makes it easy for Logan to go the other way.
And then you see Ipswich gets
penetration
penetration and a bucket.
Circus shot from Ralph, great finish. And a bucket, exactly.
Young's going to fire a 3. That's good from Mitch Young. He's never been hesitant to shoot it. He's shooting at a pretty decent clip this season. Eustace lost the ball. Goes out of bounds, though, off of Carroll with 6 seconds to go on the shot clock. Wilson getting it set to inbound for the Force. Finds Eustace in the corner. There's 3 on the shot clock. Harvey going at the defense, flips it up, it's off. Fight for the rebound. Harvey comes down with it and puts it back in.
But good things happen when you go to the glass, fellas. Hopefully they can continue that. 3 minutes, or 3 minutes 30 rather. 15 points is a big deficit. But it's still a lot of time left in the ball game. They just have to find a way to get stops at this end.
Cedar working off a couple of screens. They reverse it to Johns now with 7 on the shot clock. Cedar creates some space. Jump shot is money. Wilson over to Ralph. He'll fire the 3. That little hesitation, I think, threw him off.
Yeah, he was hoping that Cedar came to him so he could kick it to Harvey on the right of him, but Cedar did a good job of sort of hedging between both.
But just because he was open doesn't mean you have to shoot it.
Yeah,
There's a difference between an open shot and a good shot.
"17 points, 2:30 to go in the game now. Dirksen over to Eustace. Again with the pump fake, and they're going to get Sean Carroll, excuse me, that's Johns with the body. So Young checks out, as does Eustace, and Bjor and Collar check in respectively. Wilson's teardrop swatted by Post. And then Dirksen fouls Cedar.
Oh, we got a game ball, fellas. Oh, let me get a piece of that. Oh, I'm going to get to keep this ball.
Yeah, timeout on the floor. The referees don't care where the ball is.
He's
They're looking for it. Give it up, Dan.
Hey, we got you. We got you.
There we go. Getting in.
Give me a call on Wednesday night, homie. You're welcome.
Dan's on the ball here, literally and figuratively, fellas. 2:17 to go, though. This one, are we calling it in the books?
Yeah, it's over,
Absolutely.
fellas.
It's over.
And it's I don't know, 76 points in a game to then pull back another, 15, 16 plus in 2 minutes is a big ask. But I'm just not sure that Ipswich have shown that they can guard Logan. And 93 points, they'll get over 100 you'd expect. That's just too much to give up, especially when you've got someone like James Logan, who's a 30-point scorer, not here. That's too much of offense out of your lineup to give up 100 points and hope to get a win.
And to me, guys, it's that effort in spurts. We talked about it last week when we called the game versus Southwest. Ipswich, when they play with passion and effort, they look good.
Yeah.
Defensively and offensively, but they only seem to bring it in spurts, not consistently across the 40 minutes. And for me, the start, like we missed the start, unfortunately, but you take away that 15-point deficit at the start, it's a 2-point game.
Yeah.
So they can play. I mean, they can play with anybody. They've shown that. And unfortunately, that's been the story all season for Ipswich. They lost a couple tight ones due to poor starts.
And it must be really frustrating from the coaching staff's point of view, because having to try and find that sweet balance between keeping them engaged and keeping them happy.
Checking in for Logan. James Brackenbury going to get some burn here. Checking in for Christian Salicic. And Thompson checks in also for Logan. There's 10 on the shot clock for Carroll. Ralph comes up with it. They're still fighting for it. They're going to call a jump ball again. That arrow favors Ipswich. A lot of unhappy faces out there from both sides, actually.
There are some angry men in the house. That is for sure.
Well, you know, clearly frustration from the Ipswich boys on a tough season.
I hope Josh printed off the leading three-point chart before tonight, because his percentages dropped a fair bit. He's had a lot of good looks, but sometimes it's just not there for you.
Yeah, and I guess frustration from Ippy, and then a bit of desperation from Coach Rucker, because he knows that he's got to get his guys up the ladder as best he can. Currently in 7th, but they drop a few games and they're out. So you know they got to win the next few games, secure a spot in the playoffs. And like we always talked about, when the troops came, we knew they'd be tough, and they'll be a tough matchup in the playoffs if they can continue to.
Well, it's the sort of team that you're not going to want to play in the playoffs, and to get a 7 seed, usually you like the matchup if you're one of the teams at the top of the ladder, but no one's going to look forward to playing against Logan with a Mitch Young and Cedar and the way that these guys play. And the thing I love about Rucker is that they obviously had a timeout. They drew up a set play, had a turnover, and Salicic didn't run when he run, so he's out. And Salicic is over there whinging, but man, if you don't run the play, you're going to sit down. And that's awesome. I think that sort of message is what you need if you're going to go advance in the playoffs. Man, run our structure.
It's a tight ladder also, though, fellas, in that 6, 7, 8, 9 spot. I mean, there's only about, I think we've got 3 teams with similar records in Logan, Southwest.
Well, first is 3 losses, Johnny, and 8th is 8 losses. So, you know, equally a Mackay, Brisbane, you know, they might, in theory, drop 3 of the last few games and really even.
I know you wore something special, Dan, but due to our technical difficulties, we lost our on-camera.
I was wondering if we're going to take our regular selfie. Let's hashtag long and short, baby.
A lot of contact. Derrickson fouls Brad Saul. I think this selfie is going to go out to
the masses,
to the guys from the Long and Short podcast.
Thank you, Regan.
Greg Vanderjack and Rod Anderson, and I got to thank those guys for having me on their podcast. It was a lot of fun, actually, doing that podcast with them on Monday.
Well, I thought it was a really good episode, John. You spoke really well, and I loved your insight, and give those guys credit. It's a really good podcast, and I've listened to a few of the episodes. The one with Froling was great, and obviously it takes time out of their day to do it, and it's a commitment that they've made, and I think it's great. Good for the league, but it's just good to go and have a listen, so well done to those fellas up there. And
I got to give credit to them, but also to all the players, because they come on and they're answering candid questions. They're being open and honest.
Yeah.
And, and Vandy and Rod do a great job asking the tough questions. Also, I think they don't take it easy on the fellas.
Well, there's no sugarcoating. No, I agree. I'm pretty sure that their come on section this week will have the Phoenix up 40-13 at home against the Spartans with no NBL players and lose. That's a tough loss for the Phoenix, but it keeps the Spartans in and around the mark as well. Yeah,
Spartans are hanging around there also. So these last this weekend, there were some losses that will affect the ladder, particularly at the top of the ladder. But you think next weekend and the following weekend, there's only 2 weeks left. As Post puts one down from Brad Saul. But it's going to be interesting to see how things finish up these last few weeks and see who can sneak into the finals. You have teams like Logan and Southwest. If a few teams ahead of them, like Cairns, like Townsville, like Mackay, like you mentioned, or Caps start to drop a few games, and one of these teams in the 6, 7, 8 spot kind of get on a run, they could jump into the top 4. We haven't even mentioned the USC Rip also, who are hanging out just at the moment in that 4 spot.
Well, I will toot my own horn and say we picked them all.
I
picked them
yeah.
to finish top 4 at the start of the season, which was a surprise pick. But they've had a great year, and another team that could really make some noise in the finals. Maybe a little bit light on the interior, but their backcourt is fantastic, and Josh Tueta and those boys are more than capable up front. So it's going to be a great month ahead of basketball for sure.
Good win here, though, for Logan. Ipswich, again, I'll say it, and I hate to harp on it, but that first quarter really stopped them from competing for a win tonight. Credit to them for fighting back and getting it to within single digits, but it was just too much of a deficit to overcome for the Ipswich Force. They fought to the end, though. They're going to go down in this one. Guys, what do you think of Logan, though, heading into the finals? Obviously a dangerous team. Can they pull that first final upset if they can get in there?
Certainly capable of it. I think they've got a good balance of size, shooting, and experience. And so I think they're certainly well positioned to do so. And like Thunder said, Ruck's been tough on his guys today, and I like it as well. I mean, you want to have standards, and you want to have discipline and a performance culture, and here are the rules. And if you don't comply, then you don't play. It's pretty simple.
And I like their lineup. They can go big with Post and Young. Tommy Mara's a big 3. They can go small and put Young at the 5, Tommy Mara at the 4. They're very versatile. So dangerous team come playoff time for sure. Guys,
the final score, 99-82 here. Do want to take this time to apologize again for those technical issues that we had in the first half. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get you the first half of action, but it was a great second half as well. Ipswich fought hard, got it to within single digits, but they go down by 17, 99-82. See if we can get some final statistics for you, but Dan, I'll ask you for your quick final thoughts before we wrap it up, and if we get the stats, we'll go through them.
Well, I think we've touched on a lot of it, but I reckon Logan have things they can improve on for sure, but they've shown enough to give themselves confidence that over the next week or two and into the finals that they have the tools to compete. And whilst they started the season poorly, which is going to lead to a low ranking in the playoffs, should they make it, of course, they've got all the tools to go up to Mackay, up to the Capitals, up to any other stadium and compete with the top teams. So for them, they should be excited. For Ipswich, it's just another case of a year that they probably want to write off with obviously unexpected, really bad injuries, very close losses, and a lot of frustration, I'm sure. But they showed glimpses tonight again of being competitive, but they just didn't have the purpose and the structure needed to compete with the top teams in the league.
Dave, your final ones before we wrap it up?
Yeah, not a great deal to add. I think, again, Logan needs to, well, they can't watch our tape, but, great intent early in the first quarter from Logan, and that's what they need to bring for the entire game in order for them to be a legit contender. I like their trap. I like their energy. And again, we've talked about their inside touches and their big man, the passing ability of the big men. And then tonight, Sam Johns showed, I think he finished with 7 dimes in his three-man role, where he's still a nice threat and he's always looking for that entry pass. So, really good. And if you break it down as well, didn't get a huge amount of production from Mick Cedar tonight. So that's always a nice. You can win if Mick chimes in with bits and pieces, and certainly leadership. That's always a bonus.
Yeah, so that's going to wrap things up. I do, again, want to apologize one last time about those technical issues. I do have to thank James Bowman down in Sydney from the Australia Sports Network for all his help getting us back up and running. Particularly give a shout-out to our producer, Regan Baker, doing a great job, as always, on the production, but also helping us get back up and running. Chris Sieber on the camera, and also for Dan George and Dave Derwin. I'm John Guana. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to another production of QBL basketball. Next week, we're live on Sunday. It's going to be Southwest versus Toowoomba Sunday. Women at 12, men at 2. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to us, and we'll see you again next week.